welcome to Bhargavi's Biology. And today we will learn regarding drying methods, which is the part of paper BT 302 Biochemical Engineering Unit 4 Downstream Processing. So let's begin without wasting time. Before beginning with the drying method, I want to ask that have you ever wondered why the milk which is in the liquid form can be stored for 2 to 3 days only? But if the same milk is in the powdered form, then you can store it for 8 to 10 months. Have you ever wondered that? This is the coffee powder. Now, coffee is a beverage that people are having in the morning or afternoon or evening to make them feel energetic. So, have you ever wondered that you cannot store coffee in the liquid form for more than 1 day? But the same coffee powder can be stored for 8 to 10 months. Have you ever wondered that? This lemon powder, or you can say citrus powder, you can just have one scoop, you mix it directly in the water, and your lemon water is ready, and you can drink it anytime in this scorching heat, and it can make you feel energized. So this is also in the powder form. So if you want to preserve things for the longer period of time, then as compared to the liquid state, you can store them in the solid powder form. Now, if you want to store them in the solid powder form, with that process of removing the moisture content is known as drying. So in today's video tutorial, you will learn regarding the different drying methods that are used at the industrial scale. So drying is the last stage of any downstream processing, or you can say drying is the last stage in any manufacturing process, because only and only if you want to package the product, then it has to be in the dried form. As the name suggests, drying, that means it involves the final removal of the waters or any other solvents that are mainly present in our product. But whenever you are removing the water or any other solvent, we have to take care of few things. Okay, the first is that it should not lose its viability. For example, if you are using yeast in the baking process, then yeast should be alive. If they are not viable, then you cannot use them for baking process. It should not lose its activity. Okay, it should show their activity. For example, if you are drying the enzyme, then it should be active at the end of the drying process, and it should not lose its nutritional value. For example, if you are drying the milk powder, then it should contain the proper amount of fat, proteins, etc. So even if you are doing the drying, then we have to take care of the few things. Now, why you have to dry the product? Because as compared to the liquid product, when you are transporting the dried product, then the cost of the transport is reduced, because the care which needs in the liquid product for the transportation is way more much than the care that is taken for the transportation of the dried product. The material is easier to handle and package. There are many risks that are involved in transporting or in handling the liquid product as compared to the dried product. The material can be stored more conveniently in the dried state. So if it is in the liquid form, then there are some precautions that are needed to be taken for storing the product in the liquid state as compared to the dry state. Now, if you want to dry your product, then there are different drying methods that are available. For example, contact drying method, spray drying method, freeze drying method, fluidized bed drying method. So in today's presentation, we are going to learn that how actually those methods they are operated at the industrial scale and our product is dried using such method. Okay. So let's start with our first method, that is the contact dryer method. Contact dryer, as the name suggests, that our whatever product is has been purified will directly come in contact with the preheated surfaces. Here the key word is preheated. Example of this type of contact dryer is drum dryer. Now why it is known as drum dryer? Because as you can see in the figure, these drums are continuously rotating. Now these drums are already preheated at a certain temperature. Our feed, that is the product which we had already purified, will come from the inlet pipe, and here it will directly come in contact with the preheated dryer. So as soon as they will come in contact with this preheated dryer, whatever the moisture, or you can say whatever the water content is there, will get evaporated, and the evaporated water will come out from the vapor hood. Our product which is dried will still remain on this drum, and it will be removed with the help of the scraper blade, as you can see in the figure. Now there is one limitation that is associated with the contact drying method, that you cannot use the contact drying method for heat labile products such as antibiotics, vaccines, etc., because they are mainly protein in nature. And if protein will come in with contact with such high heated surfaces, then there are chances that the protein might get denatured and our product will become inactivated. So only those products that are not heat sensitive, or you can say that are not heat labile, can be dried using the contact dryer method. Now let's move to the next method. In spray drying method, as the name suggests, our feet will get sprayed. Okay, imagine the shower situation. So water is like sprayed, or you can say in the sprinkling water system method that it is sprayed. So imagine the same system for this. So the first pre-requirement, if you want to dry using the spray drying method, that our starting material should be in the form of a liquid or in the form of a paste. So as you can see in the figure, our starting material, you can say feed, is inserted into the system of our drying with high pressure. If there is no high pressure involved, then you cannot have that spraying effect. Okay. So it is mandatory that our feed should have a minimum pressure so that it can be sprayed. So as you can see, once our feed will come out of the nozzle. Nozzle means there are small opening. It will be sprayed all over our inner surface, in our inner surface. So as the as in the form of the spray our feed is coming in, we have also passed hot gas from the inlet pipe that is kept below. Now this hot gas is at 150 to 250 degrees Celsius temperature. Gas being lighter in weight, it will have this spiral turn. So as soon as our sprayed product will come in contact with this hot gas, whatever the moisture that is present inside the product will get evaporated and it will go up. Whatever the product is there will come down over here and it will be collected. whatever the product is that it will be collected over here. Now here the key point is that the gas flow rate should be carefully regulated, because the gas has the capacity to contain the required moisture content, because if it exceeds a certain point then there are chances that it can damage our product. And if the gas rate is not maintained up to the certain point, if it is below a certain point, then the required moisture content removal is not achieved. That's why it is mandatory to maintain the gas flow rate. Now let's move to the next method, that is freeze drying method. In freeze drying method, there are three steps that are mainly involved. The first step is the freezing process. The second and the third steps are the primary drying process and the secondary drying process. Freeze drying is also known as lyophilization or cryodesiccation. Now, why the first step is the freezing process? Because as you can see in the figure, these are the refrigerated coils. So whatever purified product is there will contain a certain amount of moisture. Now as soon as you are going to freeze that product, whatever the moisture is there will get first converted to the ice. So the process of getting converted to the ice from the liquid water is known as the freezing process. So that's why the first process is freezing process. Now all the water that was present has converted to the ice. So the second step will come, that is of primary drying process. So what happens in the primary drying process? The main step, that is sublimation. Now what is sublimation? When the ice is directly converted to gas without the intermediate liquid water or water vapor, it is known as the sublimation phase. Okay. Now in sublimation, what happens that there, as I said, there is a direct conversion of ice to gas. Now how the directly ice will get converted to the gas? So that if you want to directly convert, then you have to provide high vacuum. So if you will provide a high vacuum, then without the intermediate phase, our ice will get directly converted to the gas. Now let's come to the third step, that is secondary drying process. So as you can see, these are the heated coils over here. Now it is not necessary that what all the ice will have got converted into the gaseous stage. There will still be some moisture that will be present in the water, that will be present in our feed. So again the material will get dried by providing high heat and by raising the high temperatures. So whatever the left moisture was there will also be get converted to the gaseous stage. That's why there are two drying steps that are involved in the freeze drying process. One was the primary drying and the another was the secondary drying phase. Now, this freeze drying is mainly used in the production of many biologicals and pharmaceutical products, because mainly biological and pharmaceutical products such as antibiotics, vaccines, they are protein in nature. And if you will go for processes such as contact dryer, then it can denature our proteins, while at lower temperature our products remain stable. That's why we normally prefer freeze drying for biological or pharmaceutical products. Now let's look at the application part. As we are mainly dealing with the biological product, I will talk regarding the drying applications for the biological products only. So it is mainly used for the antibiotic productions. Drying methods is used for the blood serum and the plasma production, for vaccines, BCG, smallpox, yellow fever, for the production of hormones, For example, insulin and oxytocin. So remember, those patients who are suffering from diabetes, they have to take an insulin injection. So it is first available in the powder form, and the doctor will dissolve the insulin powder, and then it will he or she will inject it into the insulin in the patient suffering from diabetes. Is also used for the production of microbial cultures in the dried form and for some enzyme preparations. Okay, and here the main application that was used by NASA. Now we know that NASA is National Aeronautics and Space Administration Center. So they have utilized the freeze drying technology for preserving foods for the astronauts who station at space station, because the space journey is so long. Okay, it might take 2 years, 3 years. So freeze drying, with the help of the freeze drying technology, you can preserve the food for so long. So this was all about the drying methods. And here I have mentioned some of the references for you. I have also mentioned some reference book as well as some web references. You can always go through this reference book and web references and can enhance your basic understanding regarding the drying process. So, and if you have more questions, then you can email me your questions on